it turns out that the Earth's rotation also has an effect on the value that we measure for g, the acceleration due to gravity. So often we'll measure g using scales, and we've discussed before how these work. If we place an object on scales, what the scales measure is the normal force that they are applying on the object which is placed upon them. So we discussed this when we were discussing a person standing on scales in an elevator, and we were working out all the net forces and everything which were acting upon the person. So let's now imagine placing a person at the equator of the Earth standing on some scales. Well, there's a couple of forces which are acting upon this person. They've got the gravitational force, which is pulling the person towards the center of the Earth. And then they've also got the normal force, which the scales that they are standing on are applying on them. Now, as a result of these two forces, the person undergoes centripetal acceleration with the Earth and stays above the same point on the Earth, on the scales. And so we can write as an equation that the resultant force, the centripetal force, mv squared on r, is equal to g mm on r squared minus n, where n is that normal force. And if we want to work out what those scales are actually going to measure, which is how we'll get our value of g, then we can write, well, the normal force is equal to g mm on r squared minus mv squared on r. Now, if instead of being at the equator, we imagine placing our person at the pole, in that case, as the Earth rotates, the person is rotating on the spot like this, but they're not tracing out a circular path. So in that case, the centripetal acceleration is 0. So at the pole, we've got that the normal force is just equal to g mm on r squared. So you can see this normal force is larger because we're not subtracting off the centripetal acceleration. So if you stood at the equator and measured your weight, it would actually be slightly lower because of the Earth's rotation than it was at the poles. So let's look at a problem that we can solve using this now. So the question is, Sydney is approximately 30 degrees south of the equator. What is the centripetal acceleration of the Earth at 1. the poles, 2. the equator, and 3. Sydney? And then how large is this effect on the measurement of g? Okay, so let's start by drawing a diagram. Here's our Earth, and it is rotating like this about some axis here. At the center, we've got the radius of the Earth here, and we'll actually need to know this. So the radius of the Earth is equal to 6,371 kilometers. Now, if we want to calculate the centripetal acceleration at the poles, somebody at the poles is standing just down here, say on the South Pole. We could put them on the North Pole. But they're not actually tracing out a circular path. The radius of their path is 0. They're just spinning on the spot. So what we can do is we can use our equation for centripetal acceleration. We'll actually use omega squared r this time. Often we use v squared on r. We can use either, but let's use this one this time. Okay, so at the pole, the radius of the path is 0. So at the pole, the centripetal acceleration is going to be equal to 0. Now at the equator, the person is standing here, and so they're tracing out a circular path with a radius equal to the radius of the Earth. So we are going to have to use this equation here and substitute in. So omega in this equation is the angular velocity, and we know that the Earth rotates once a day. So when it rotates, it goes through a total of 2 pi radians, and angular velocity is typically given in radians per second. So in a day, there's 24 hours, and in each hour there's 60 minutes, and then in each minute there's 60 seconds. So this is the angular velocity of the Earth, and we can square that. And then the radius for this path at the equator is given by 6,371, and then we need to times it by 1,000 to get that into meters. So solving that on the calculator, we end up with this is equal to 0.0337, and that is meters per second is the centripetal acceleration at the equator. Now at Sydney, we're told in the question that Sydney is about 30 degrees south of the equator. So here's our person standing here, and this angle in here is 30 degrees. So hopefully you can see the person's going to trace out, as they go around with the Earth, a radial path like this, and the radius of that path in this case is going to be this length, which is given by r cos 30. So r will be equal to r cos 30. So we're going to end up with our centripetal acceleration in this case. We'll have the same omega here, because once again, even if we're at Sydney, it takes 1 day for the Earth to rotate about its axis. But instead of having r just as the radius of the Earth here, we're going to need to multiply it by cos 30. So we've essentially got the same expression, except that now we're multiplying by cos 30. So this will be omega squared times r cos 30. So what we can do is multiply the number we got here by cos 30. And when we do that, we end up with 0.0291 meters per second. And so that's the centripetal acceleration at Sydney. So this is Sydney, and this is the equator. So then it asks, how large is this effect on the measurement of G? So we know that G is roughly 9.8. And so at the pole, we would measure G is equal to 9.8. And then at the equator, we've already discussed how if the Earth is rotating, then this actually reduces G. So at equator, G would be around about 9.8 minus 0.0337. So a nice way to express this as a size is to work out, well, how big is this difference as a percentage of G? So in order to do that, we can just do 0.0337. So this is the difference at the equator divided by G. And then let's do it as a percentage. So if we then times this by 100%, and when we put this into the calculator, we get that this is around about 0.34%, which isn't enormous, but it's not really that negligible either. So the rotation of the Earth does affect the value that we measure for the acceleration due to gravity.